Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel Eclectic Reads. Today I would like to talk about the 4 most recent cozy mysteries that I read. I listened to all of these on audio. I'm finding that I really enjoy consuming cozy mysteries in audio form. Some of them I think were better in audio than in physical form, but either way, I find that I'm gravitating towards audio more for cozy mysteries. So the first book that I read, I gave 3 stars to, and that is Hooked on Murder by Betty Hetchman. This is the first book in a crochet mystery series. I picked it up simply because of the hook, pun intended. If you don't know, I am an avid crocheter. It is something that I spend way too many hours on every day. I say way too many hours because I do get hand injuries as a result. That's the reason why I was really attracted to this series. I had also seen a review of the book by a crocheter who is quite popular online. In this series, we have Molly Pink, who works as the event coordinator at a bookstore. At the bookstore, there is a crochet group that also meets that calls itself the Tarzana Hookers. Tarzana because the town in which the series takes place is Tarzana, California. One day, Molly goes to visit one of the members at their house. Her name is Ellen, I believe. She is a crocheter, but she forgot her hooks at the bookstore. But when Molly arrives at the house, she finds Ellen dead. And so, of course, she is now the first suspect. It doesn't help that Heather, who is the police on the case, the detective, doesn't like Molly very much. I have to be honest, I don't remember a lot of details about this mystery. I do remember being a bit disappointed by the reveal at the end. I felt like the killer came out of left field. It wasn't any of the people that I had suspected. There were a few things that stood out to me, though, as a crocheter, and as a crocheter who is involved in a fiber arts group that does meet at a bookstore. Molly eventually joins this crochet group, and there's so much drama between the crocheters and the knitters. Apparently, the knitters are not allowed in the group, which is strange because every group I've ever been a part of has totally been welcoming to knitters. And while we hear about snobbery from the knitting community, I have not really witnessed that myself. In this book, the crocheters are also quite elitist. If you are new and you want to join their group, they're like, who are you? Why are you here? Molly decides she wants to join because she wants to help them make this blanket that is supposed to be auctioned off, and it's made up of a bunch of granny squares. So she wants to help them by learning how to make a granny square. So of course she doesn't know how to crochet, and she gets a kit from the bookstore and tries to teach herself, but then she gets all these comments from the people. There's just so much drama. The other thing that was a bit unrealistic was how quickly Molly learned how to crochet. So she first learns how to do a slip knot, then she learns to chain stitch, then she just stacks the chains on one on top of each other, and then suddenly she has a row. And it's like, at no point does she learn how to hold the working yarn, which I remember taking me like an hour to learn. I don't want anybody to think that it is a quick and easy process to learn how to crochet. I would say that once you learn the basics, then it's not so challenging if you can count. But this book made it seem like it's super duper easy and you can learn it in one evening. No, it takes a lot more practice. This book was kind of disappointing. I gave it 3 stars, like I said, and I don't think I'm going to continue with the series. The second book that I listened to is a paranormal cozy mystery. This is If Walls Could Talk by Juliet Blackwell. This is the first book in the Haunted Home Renovation series. So we are following Mel Turner, who runs Turner Construction, a construction company that her father started and that she has now inherited. She is now the one in charge of Turner Construction. And this construction company renovates historic homes, which is a really cool premise. It is what drew me to this book. At the start of the story, Mel goes to visit her friend Matt. Matt is a former British rock star who has aged out of the industry and now is trying to remain relevant by flipping historic homes or just flipping houses. He decides that he wants to restore this historic home and sell it, but he's also an alcoholic. And so there's alcohol mixed in with power tools one night. And when Mel walks in, she sees Matt nursing a hangover and just not really remembering the details of what happened. As they go around looking at the damage that this party caused, who comes in but Kenneth, who is Matt's partner in the build. And he comes stumbling in, bleeding. His hand was cut off by a power saw. Somebody shot him with a nail gun multiple times. This was clearly not an accident. This was a murder. And Kenneth eventually dies at the hospital. But before he dies, he tells the nurse that it was Matt's doing. So then Matt is arrested and put in jail. But Mel is convinced that Matt couldn't do this. Yes, Matt has some issues, but he is no killer. And then she sees Kenneth, his ghost, that is. She realizes that she has the gift of being able to see ghosts, a gift that apparently her mother had as well. I really enjoyed this mystery. There is this question about whether there is some kind of a treasure associated with this house. Maybe that is why Kenneth was killed. Kenneth was a pretty ruthless person in life, but as a ghost, he doesn't remember any of it. He doesn't remember who killed him, and he doesn't even know why he's there as a ghost. He knows that he's waiting for something, but he doesn't know what. Mel suspects he's probably going to disappear once his killer is brought to justice. I would say the greatest weakness of this book is the fact that the paranormal element didn't feel intrinsic to the story. I wanted more from the ghost. I wanted Mel to be able to partner with the ghost and try to find the killer together. But instead, Kenneth just flits in and out, and I just didn't feel like I understood why this was a paranormal. I will be continuing with the series, however. I'm interested in seeing what other homes get renovated and what other mysteries get solved. I gave this book 3.5 stars. Next, I listened to a really fun, cozy mystery, and that is Shady Hollow by Juno Black. This is the first in a fantasy cozy mystery series involving woodland creatures. At the beginning of the story, there is a hummingbird who, as she is flying over, sees Otto dead. Otto is a toad, a very cranky toad who has made enemies everywhere, but he didn't deserve to die. And so she flies to the office of Vera Vixen, who is a journalist, and gives her the scoop. Oh, Otto has been killed. And so Vera, throughout the story, is trying to figure out who would bump off Otto. Initially, they think that he was stabbed because they find a knife in his back. But upon inspection, it is determined that he was poisoned. There is a moose who runs a coffee shop named Joe. That was, to me, everything I needed to pick up this book because moose are my favorite animals. I absolutely love moose. And so I think that book 2 deals with Joe even more than book 1. There is a badger who is like this, super capitalist CEO who runs a mill that employs a lot of people, but also he has made a lot of enemies. There is a bear who is he's the assistant to the police chief, but the police chief doesn't want to inspect anything. He just wants to go fishing. It is so much fun, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. I will say that this is the kind of book that should be listened to in audio because on page you can't really tell the difference between the different animals. They definitely feel more like humans. But the audiobook narrator does a really good job at speaking as if these are animals talking. So the sheep are bleating, the bear sounds more gruff, the bird has a higher pitched voice. I love that about it, so I definitely will be listening to the rest of the books on audio as well. I gave this book 4 stars. And the final book I want to talk about today was Murder at Pirates Cove, which is the first book in the Secrets and Scrabbles mystery series by Josh Lanyon. This is a queer cozy mystery. Josh Lanyon is actually a woman who has been writing LGBT mysteries for, I think, over 20 years. She's well established in the field, but she mostly writes PI, like detective mysteries. This is her first cozy series. I cannot wait to read the rest of the books in the series. So, we have a man named Ellery Page. He has moved from New York to an island in Rhode Island, this little town called Pirate Cove. In New York, Ellery was a failed actor. He had tried to star in films, but he only ended up starring in some advertisements. But when his great great aunt passes away and he inherits her mansion as well as her bookstore, he gets excited to try something new and he moves to Pirates Cove. The bookstore is called The Crow's Nest and it sells mysteries. Unfortunately, one day when he walks into his store, he finds the body of Trevor. Trevor is another bookstore owner. Actually, he's the owner of many stores on Pirates Cove, and he was running for mayor. He tried to buy out Ellery and buy his bookstore, and Ellery wasn't having it. And so, of course, now he is the police chief's number one suspect. Ellery had a bad breakup. His boyfriend, I think, ran off with somebody else. And so, he's also learning how to love again, and he's finding the police chief a bit attractive, even though he's also very cold and maintains his distance and seems very stoic. Ellery still finds him a bit charming. I loved the small town. I loved all the different stores. I did kind of guess the murderer, but there was a twist at the end that I did not expect, which caused me to gasp audibly. I really enjoyed this. This was definitely a 5-star read, and I cannot wait to read book 2. Let me know if you've read any of these cozy mysteries. I will do another video when I have a few more books to talk about. I don't always like making monthly wrap-ups because I don't always read enough books to warrant a wrap-up, or I read too many books and then I forget what I've read. So I think it's just better for me to make a video after I read a few books, maybe in a certain genre, like cozy. If you like cozy mysteries and are interested in written reviews, you can check out my blog, which is linked down below. You can subscribe by email or on Facebook. And I will, of course, talk about cozy mysteries here, but also other kinds of books. My blog is uniquely about cozy mysteries. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.